Hey everybody, how's it going? Christian from Treasure Town here, and today we're going to do a thought experiment type of video. I thought of 10 types of coin collectors, and there's definitely more out there since coin collecting is really cool in that there are a ton of different aspects and angles to pursue the hobby from. So that being said, I compiled 10 different types. I'm going to go through them, kind of explain what they are. Maybe you'll be inspired to become one of them. Maybe you'll realize that you are one of them. Then along the way I can kind of show you where I fit in, and I definitely fit into a lot of them. But that being said, let's go for it. So the first type of collector is the investor, and this means that they're probably pretty concerned with making money out of the hobby by having their coins go up in value. So they're going to be looking to make a lot of bids with the primary goal of, while they do enjoy coins, recouping their value and having it grow. So that means I've heard different people say different things. Some people really like just the silver coinage, which is more of a precious metals, angle. Some people really like early bust US gold. That can be very expensive but goods. Other people try to target high-end key date coins. So there's all different types of investors out there, but that's definitely one type of collector. The second type of collector that I thought of is the specialist. And I used to be very much of a specialist, and I plan on being one in the future, if that makes sense. I'm not doing a ton of collecting at the moment just to save resources, but the specialist might take a set or a specific goal and really put a lot of effort into completing that. So that might be something like what I would do in the future is get a set of the early classic silver commemorative coins. Another person I was just talking to, a viewer of mine, said that they're really interested in doing a World War II commemorative set. So thinking of coins that were maybe during that time, and then also thinking of coins that depict actions or events that happened during World War II. So there's all types of different specialists, whether it's putting on an exhibit, something of that sort, or just having it as a cool maybe date run of Washington quarters. There's tons of way to do that as well. Collector number 3 is going to be the Art Appreciator, and I see these from time to time. I think it's really cool. I definitely like art on some specific coins that I can think of, but they definitely are primarily focused on coins for the beautiful art that they depict. And one interesting thing that this then often extends into a love for metals and exonumia. Exonumia being things like tokens, and metals also fit into that category. But those often are not constrained by having the government aspect of needing to represent certain things. Metals often will have really beautiful relief. I know in the coin shop we recently had some cool Napoleonic medals, really old, tons of high relief things commemorating often the wins and victories that Napoleon was collecting as he went across Europe. Number 4 is probably what my primary role as a collector is, and that is a learner. So people who are really just interested in discovering as much as they can about the hobby. I have so much more to learn about numismatics. I'm not even close, but I try to share as much as I can. Often the videos that I produce are, I know a little bit about something, but then I'll research it a lot and try to give a condensed version of that to you guys. I just really like learning, whether that's about American coins, world coins. There's infinite stuff to learn, and I'll be doing a lot more of that as well in college, where I'm going to try to sign up for some numismatic courses. These are probably going to focus more on ancient and medieval coinage, but it'll be a whole new realm that I'll get to learn a lot about, which is awesome. Number 5 has 2 subsets, and that is the type of dealer. So dealers often come either from a background of coin collecting or not coin collecting, and there's pros and cons to both, though I don't think that there's too many real cons. But the pros of being a dealer that collects coins is that they probably have been involved with the hobby for a really long time. The con is that they likely might take aside some of their stock for themselves, which could have some struggles with the business side of, am I going to make money or am I going to collect coins here? But that's often a way that we see people come into the hobby. It's also lucrative for people who are really great business people. They know how to make profit and do well with anything almost, but they then specialize in coins because that's the best way, or a way that they really enjoy doing it. A lot of people, even if they come into dealing having not collected too much, they still end up with an enormous wealth of knowledge, and it often pertains more to the business side. So there's tons of dealers. They can be really young or really old. I know some young up-and-coming dealers that I was really impressed with when I talked to them, and that can be a really fun way to collect coins, currency, numismatics as well. Number 6, and this kind of ties in with what I am as a learner, but is the historian. So they often are really interested in coins for the historic aspect, whether that means just thinking about who might have held a specific coin, to kind of looking and analyzing the different trends that coins depict, whether that's trends with metals, whether that's trends with academic style documents, thinking about coins as pieces of ancient history, often in cases, whether that's cultural or societal, or whether that means collecting coins from countries that never really existed and having that be a gateway to get to know a lot of world geography and world history as well. There's tons of ways. I think that it's a really cool way. Sometimes I'll see some historic figures on an old coin that I'm discovering, and I end up on Wikipedia or different web pages and I learned a ton about them. I think that the historic aspect is great. A lot of the commemorative coins that we see coming out, both modern and classic, have a lot to do with history and geography. Even if the history isn't super old, there's so much information that's a really fun part of this hobby. Number 7, I've seen a lot, and in some ways I used to be this type of collector, but it's more, and this is not a negative one necessarily, is the hoarder. So they might not have too much of, they're the opposite of a specialist. They don't have a ton of specific direction. They love coins. They want to get their hand in as many different aspects of the hobby as possible. So they're going to have lots of proof sets and mint sets and world coins and foreign coins, some US stuff, currency, and there's not as much of a need to get and perfect a specific collection as opposed to just generally appreciating coins. Maybe hoarder is not the right word. Maybe a generalist would be a better one, but that's kind of one type of collector that I see often. Number 8, and this is another one where you have a breakdown, but is the inheritor. And the two types. So the first one is somebody who inherits a coin collection, whether that's 2 coins that their dad carried around in his wallet forever, or whether that's somebody whose ancestors had a huge coin collection that now passed down to them, and they want to continue and grow off of that collection and get into the hobby themselves if they weren't already involved, and that's great to see. And then on the other hand, and I'll tell you a little story about this that is kind of funny, is somebody who's more interested in just selling it, learning a little bit, and then parting ways with that collection. Now, I remember at the height of the silver, when it went way up, somebody that I knew inherited a collection, and it was a two-way inheritance, so neither were family members of this person, but the person I knew thought it would be great to just hold on to this silver, and that it would steadily rise, and then that would be good. And the other person said, I'm going to go right to a coin shop and just get rid of the silver. They probably got slightly a tough deal, but I don't even think it was that bad of a deal at the time. And they probably sold their silver for close to $30 an ounce, something like that, while the other person kept it. And look where we are now. I think silver is like $16, $17 at the time that this video will be released. I'm filming it a little bit in advance, and definitely not close to the 30. So they probably have done pretty well. Now, hopefully silver will go up in the future, but it's not always a terrible thing to sell coins. That's an example of a case where the person who sold the coins that they inherited made a good move. So I don't think that it's necessarily good to look down upon those people. And often people also really are needing some of the finances that come with selling a collection. Number 9 is the stacker. Now these are people who are mostly concerned with precious metal content. So often that's traditionally gold or silver. You see a lot of people who are interested in the pre-1982 copper pennies, holding that for copper content, hoping that eventually that the coins will be allowed to melt, where they would have a lot more value than the 1 cent that they represent. There's some people who like kind of interesting plays like palladium or rhodium or some other metal that's pretty valuable that we don't traditionally think of quite as much. But there's a lot of cool things even within stacking. There's some poured art bars that can be really cool. There's valuable silver bullion. I want to get a little bit more knowledge in that area, but there's like one 5-ounce silver bar that came in from Engelhard in our coin shop. We ended up selling it for $700. So that's $140 an ounce. You're hearing that correctly. So there is some cool aspects of stacking. It's not always, the misconception is that you're just piling and piling silver and gold. No, not necessarily. There's a lot of specifics within stacking as well. And lastly, number 10, this was a type of collector that I recently learned about, and it's less of a collector as much as it is an academic numismatist. So there's some people who just as a vocation, as a profession, they have chosen to study numismatics. Often this dates far back in the ancient times, but there is modern numismatic study as well. And it's really interesting. They're less for collecting. They're not buying and selling. They're just studying it professionally because it can reveal a lot about ancient history, as I mentioned earlier, or just other things. I'm not too knowledgeable about that type, but it makes sense. I do have a bonus one for you guys, and that is the online ranter/commenter. I've been pretty blessed not to have too many of these in my comment section, and that's a good thing. Some people definitely I've seen on some forums can be really toxic and harsh, and that's just part of the community. I think the coin community is pretty good with that, but that definitely is a coin collector. Often they don't display too much knowledge. They're more based on emotion, so it's just kind of funny to see that sometimes. With that being said, let me know if you fit into any of them, whether you are a learner, a specialist, or maybe you are an online ranter. Whatever it is, let me know, and I always am interested in other ideas for kind of content, thought experiment type videos, so I'll look forward to reading the comments. Thanks for watching the video. I'd encourage you to like, comment, and subscribe to help me out with my channel, and if you want to connect more, I do so on my Facebook, TreasureTown, my website, treasuretownyt.com, or my Instagram, TreasureTownYT. Have a great day, and I hope to see you on some of my other videos.